A major winter storm battered America's northern plains and upper Midwest on Wednesday. High winds and heavy snow forced hundreds of schools to close, grounded air travel, and made road travel difficult, if not impossible. More than 50 million Americans have been placed under winter weather advisories. The National Weather Service warned of winds of up to 60 miles an hour and expected up to 2 feet of snow to be dumped on towns and cities. One of the hardest hit areas in the Midwest was Minneapolis-St. Paul, where local officials declared emergencies. Motorists were told to stay off the roads, and some 3,500 flights were delayed or canceled across the nation. Minneapolis' school system said it would hold classes remotely for more than 29,000 pupils for the rest of the week, and dozens of school districts canceled classes in the Dakotas, Colorado, and Wyoming. Experts say the growing frequency and intensity of such storms, interspersed with extreme heat and dry spells, are symptoms of climate change.
Elon Musk announced plans on Wednesday to make California Tesla's global engineering home. It's a bit of a turnaround for the billionaire, who has previously criticized the US state for, quote, over-regulation, over-litigation, over-taxation. He also moved Tesla's official corporate headquarters to Texas in 2021. The two states are political and business rivals. While California has more electric vehicles and provided Tesla with tax incentives as it grew, Texas is known for relatively light regulation and is the heart of the nation's oil and gas industry. Musk had California Governor Gavin Newsom by his side when he announced Wednesday's news. During the event, Newsom bragged that his state was the biggest manufacturing center in the nation. "Eat your heart out, Germany," he joked. The announcement comes not long after Tesla said it would focus battery cell production in the US, pausing plans to produce entire batteries in Germany in light of federal incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. Tesla is one of the first companies to declare such a strategy shift, prompted by the legislation.
The concept of Made in America is in full force at this 77-year-old factory in Ohio. People hard at work producing a new line of electric garbage trucks. 90 miles to the west, construction has begun on a massive $20 billion plant. There, pizza-sized silicone wafers will be transformed into computer chips. Both factories, one from Battle Motors and the other from global giant Intel, are examples of a new industrial policy taking shape in America. Championed by the Biden administration, it uses the power of the federal government to help U.S. businesses compete in a global economy, a goal that is getting rare bipartisan support, even here in staunchly Republican Ohio. John Husted is the state's Republican lieutenant governor.
When we allowed the semiconductor industry and other vital parts of our economic foundations to be reliant on countries overseas, that was a mistake. In the Midwest, Northeast paid dearly for that mistake. But now it's an opportunity for us to hit the reset button, to realize what's in our strategic national, economic, and national defense interests.
Reuters toured both sites and spoke to over a dozen outside experts and political leaders about challenges with the new industrial policy, which includes potential worker shortages and a growing backlash from foreign governments rushing to boost competing companies. But Bruce Andrews, the chief government affairs officer at Intel, says the new approach is critical to even the playing field.
30 years ago, Taiwan and Korea, China all sat down and they said, we want to build these semiconductor industries that we have. And so they really focused on putting policies in place, whether that was incentives, which can help cover up to, even up to half the cost of the fab. They give, free land, they give tax breaks, they give cash incentives.
Now the U.S. government wants to give too, in the form of tax credits and subsidies. This kind of government support for U.S. companies was once criticized by conservatives as picking winners and losers, and by progressives as corporate welfare. Of course, there is one big risk for companies relying on government support: A future administration might pull back on projects that take years to build. But for Mike Patterson, CEO of Battle Motors, he sees building his fleet of EV trucks now with some government support as a win-win.
The more and more of these electric vehicles that we can get out, the better it is for the environment. It really is. I mean, that's why that's why we're doing this. But it's now becoming financially sensible to do it.
A teacher has been stabbed to death by a student in the French town of Saint-Jean-de-Luz. Officials say the victim was a Spanish-language teacher. The 16-year-old attacker told another teacher he was possessed and heard voices instructing him to carry out the attack, a source with knowledge of the investigation told Reuters. Pape Ndiaye is France's education minister.
Nothing allowed to foresee such a horrendous event. The principal, as well as the professors, all told me that this establishment was a very calm one, known for its seriousness and the serenity of its educational environment.
A local newspaper reported that the student stood up in class and walked to the door before turning around and stabbing the teacher, citing two students who witnessed the attack. A local prosecutor said the student was being held in custody and that a murder investigation is underway.
This is Starbucks' newest drink, the Oleato. It's Arabica coffee with a spoonful of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. And so far, its debut in Italy seems to be winning people over.
It has a little too much oil for my taste, but I like it because the milk and the oil can both be tasted distinctly. I don't know how to explain it. There are two flavors, but they mix together and work well together.
There are things that shouldn't go together, but it's good, because I always like to taste something new. So for me, it's good.
Howard Schultz, the company's founder, claims that Oleato will be the next revolution in coffee. The Java and oil concoction is being offered as an alternative to the more standard espresso or cappuccino, and will set you back between $5 and $7, depending on the size of the cup. While it's only being offered in Italy for now, Starbucks plans to roll out the beverages in select markets, starting with Southern California in the spring. Japan, the Middle East, and Britain will get their turn later this year.